morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to the Global Renewables Hub. So first of all, congratulations for getting here on time and smiling to the Global Renewables Hub here at COP30 in Belém. But for a really, really interesting session. This is kind of one of my favourites that we're going to be talking about. And I love the title, The Silent Driver of Competitiveness, Energy Efficiency. I'm sure I'm looking around, many of you have been in this agenda for some time. And you can remember probably about 10, 15 years ago where the low-hanging fruit was energy efficiency. But all of those reports, 40% of industrial emissions come from energy use, and 1/3 of what we can achieve by 2030 from the IEA is through energy efficiency. And yet it's still that silent driver. Other shiny things get in the way, but it's there. And the discussion today, I think, will be really, really exciting, because I think we're able to kind of almost start to unlock now the opportunity of energy efficiency. For many developed countries, which are already quite efficient in the use of their machinery and processes, it's kind of a story of optimization, of using those technologies, of finding smart ways to connect data and drive efficiencies through processes. Anybody from Germany here? Okay, so German industrial bases looked at improving energy use intensity over the last decade, improved it by 28%, brought costs down, and emissions down as well. So technology innovation in developed countries. But I think the story is even more exciting in emerging economies, where energy efficiency actually is a driver of opportunity. Grow your industrial base without reliance on even more energy, which can sometimes be unreliable or not so clean, and reduce emissions at the same time, attracting the kinds of credits and finance that you need. Do you have any colleagues here from India or interact with? Thank you, sir. Whereabouts are you from? New Delhi. Okay. And what area of work are you in? Amazing. You're in exactly the right place. And you will know about the amazing work of JSW Steel in their Virjanapur plant in Karnataka. And so they have a program. It's one of the world's largest steel plants by scale, and will soon be by production in the next 5 years. They have a process where they implement efficiencies across energy use, across other resource use, and it's already yielding on track by 2030 to reduce emissions by 9 million tonnes per year. That's one steel plant in India. Dalmia Cement, I'm sure you've heard of Dalmia Cement, which is quite a vanguard in terms of using energy efficiency in its kiln processing and such. Across all those different operations, improvements of between 5 and 28% in energy efficiency and cost against baseline. So these are real opportunities, whether it's in India or Kenya in the textile community, or China, if we look at kind of just the approach that State Grid is taking to tracking all of those data points and energy uses. So there's a real opportunity here, both for developed countries in terms of innovation and developing countries in terms of opportunity. So that's really the spirit of the conversation that we've got, to unlock this and turn it into delivery, because as the Brazilians have framed it, this is the COP of implementation. So really, from this discussion and from our friends from the Energy Efficiency Movement and the Solar Impulse Foundation, it's not really looking for another big report. There's some amazing analysis that will be introduced, but now it's taking all of those examples and putting them into practice. I think that's the flavour of the discussion. So thank you for being here. I'm glad to see you've got your fans. That's kind of a really good example of energy efficient use of cooling. So there's a nice segue. To get us going, I would be delighted to introduce Ambroise Fayul, who's the Vice President of the European Investment Bank, who's going to set the scene a little bit. After Ambroise, there'll be another speaker. I'll come MC us through, and we'll deliver ourselves on time by the end of the hour. So thank you very, very much for being here. Ambroise, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Either you are too hot or too cold in this place. Yesterday evening I was telling Bertrand we had our own event to present our climate strategy it was so freezing that basically there was absolutely nobody able to be in the middle. Anyway, many thanks to Bertrand, many thanks to the Solar Impulse Foundation, to the Energy Efficiency Movement for convening this event. This is very important, and I will be very brief because I have just 3 points to make. One is policymakers face a complex energy trilemma: how to balance energy security, competitiveness, and sustainability. And that's something that we face too in Europe. And often, I don't think one of the goals is at the expense of the others. Energy efficiency is an exception. When you do energy efficiency, you strengthen all the three. You reduce the cost, you reduce the emissions, and you strengthen resilience. And that's why we are very interested in energy efficiency. And it's also consistent with like was seen 3 times. Actually, it's more than 2 times. But the 2 times renewable energy efficiency is not renewable. The 2 times increasing in the energy efficiency by 2030 is absolutely essential if we want our targets to be met on climate. And the second thing I wanted to say is at EIB we are walking the talk. We are doing energy efficiency initiatives and projects supporting, for example, energy efficiency of hospitals, schools, housing and public buildings in Ukraine, sustainable housing in Kazakhstan, energy efficiency upgrades for SMEs and industry in Chile. There is one example that I would give that is very clever that I found very interesting. This is a project that we have done in the French Polynesia. The hospital of Papeete, which is the capital of the French Polynesia, used a lot of fuel. It was the main consumer of the fuel. And what we have financed is a project where you take the water. This is a site where the sea falls very quickly. So you take the sea, in the water, you pump it, you desalinate it, and you put it in the system of cooling. And actually it is your air conditioning now, because the temperature goes out at 7 degrees, and it is in the system at 12 degrees. So that's something that is that can work because it is working 24/7. But this is something that we try to replicate elsewhere. Now we tried also at EIB to walk the talk. And by walking the talk, we have launched earlier in the year, Bertrand was here with DG Jean Vincent and also the EU Commissioner, Vincent, and the President of the EIB, Nadia Calvino. We launched an energy efficiency for SME initiative at EIB that is a real powerful partnership between the European Commission, the Solar Impulse Foundation and the EIB Group. The objective is to support 350,000 SMEs across Europe in the next 3 years. And the objective is that it will increase financing for energy efficiency to 17.5 billion from EIB. That is twice the amount that we have done in recent years. So that's something that is a combination of things we already do, lending to banks for banks to lend to SMEs for energy efficiency, that's something we do, and things that are much more new that we do actually with the support of Bertrand, pilot initiatives in the concept of servitization. Maybe you will say a word, Bertrand, about how it works, offering energy efficiency as a service rather than as a product. These models help scale up existing technologies and make them accessible to SMEs, enabling European industry to meet its decarbonization targets and at the same time improving competitiveness. The last point I wanted to make is we believe that with this initiative, we can bring 65 billion euros investment over the next 3 years with private sector. And we think this kind of initiative is the blueprint for how public and private sector can work together to close the investment gap that we have for energy. Public banks like the EIB can absorb risk and support emerging technologies while private investors bring scale and reach. So that's what we try to do, and that's our objective, and I'm sure the session will be very interesting for that. I can continue.
Thank you very much, Andreas. Very, very interesting. Being such an important player in the topic, the European Investment Bank. Now it's a delight to welcome Cristina Lobilo Barrero, who's the Director of Energy Security and International Relations at the European Commission. Cristina, welcome to the session, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this event. And before addressing you in the main ideas, guidelines that we have in the Commission, I would like to give you some introductory remarks. The President of the Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, she came here to Belém for the leaders segment, and she reiterated that we are fully committed to our decarbonization pathway. So the European Union really want to achieve an economy who is carbon-free by 2050, and we are working in that direction despite what is happening in the world. So this is a message, political message, that I wanted to convey to you today. So with regard to this event, it's my pleasure to be here today with you. We consider this session on the efficiency in action, the silent driver of competitiveness, as one of the main side event in the COP. In DDN, we work very closely with the energy efficiency movement and also with the Solar Impulse Foundation. We have been working recently more closely in the context of the 10th EEM Global Energy Efficiency Conference, and also with the Solar Impulse Foundation in the joint publication Energy Efficiency, the Silent Moneymaker. We do believe that we are here after what happened in COP28 in Dubai, with a global pledge to tripling renewables, doubling energy efficiency by 2030. We are not there yet, in particular on energy efficiency. We are very much aware, so we have to enhance our effort, and we have to continue working together. And in particular, in this international event where we can join forces, in particular, to convey this message, to put together public administration and private operators just to make it happen. Let me focus on the joint publication with the Solar Impulse Foundation, because it's very important for us, for the Energy European Commission. You know that we have European Union funded programs such as LIFE, ELENA, and Horizon Europe. And these programs are very, very committed to invest, I would say, billions of euros in achieving large-scale energy savings and also smarter energy use. This is our commitment, and will continue to be so in the context of the new multi-annual financial framework that is under negotiation in the European Union. Our collaboration with Solar Impulse Foundation is, I would say, a tangible illustration on how successfully the business case of energy efficiency as a service is on it. With over 1,600 proven solutions already identified or even financed, we consider that we should spread efficiency across different sectors: energy, water, mobility, agriculture, industry, waste management, and also digital technologies. I would like to welcome very warmly the release of this important joint publication today, you, Solar Impulse Foundation, and we really believe that this conveys a very powerful message in this context. I would like just to conclude some thoughts. most important message I want you to reiterate is that the Commission continues working and continues to engage with international partners, as well with industry, both political level but also technical level. In particular, in the Global Energy Transition Forum that was launched by President von der Leyen at the beginning of this year. Also the Clean Energy Ministerial, as well as through the joint initiatives just launched as the report Energy Efficiency, Silent Maker that I referred before, and also with all the events that are taking place here in Belém, in the COP. So our commitment to work with you, our commitment to engage on the aligned regulatory framework, also to find the necessary funding that we need to achieve this ambitious objective. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Christina from the European Commission. And thank you for your invitation for collaboration and continued engagement. Okay, so now we move to the first of our two panels. I'm delighted to introduce you to Mike Umika, the Executive Director of the Energy Efficiency Movement, who's the co-host of this session. And Mike, you'll kind of take us through the first panel and introduce your panelists. Mike, over to you.
Thank you, Dominic. Also, good morning from my side. I would like to invite the speakers on stage because they're more important today than myself. Shanta Marley, yes, please come on stage. Fortescue, Chief Scientist Officer from Fortescue. Linda Paulsen, CEO of APRI. Anna Celsing, Group President, Vice President Sustainability and Head of Sustainability Alfa Laval. And then Esther Midori, from Chief Sustainable Officer from Schneider Electric. Warm welcome. Technology doesn't work always. So let me quickly give you 2-3 sentences also who is the energy efficiency movement. So we're a global network of industry companies across different sectors, driving the awareness on energy efficiency and also showcasing best practices. Today we're around 600 organizations, and as we also just heard before, we have been the partner to the IEA 10th Energy Efficiency Global Conference, where also the CEO 4-point action plan was an output document that puts energy efficiency at the top of the agenda, talks about the energy efficiency first principle. So with that, let me turn to you, Shanta. Fortescue is a global company based in Australia, focused on mining and green energy. You have been a leader in industrial innovation. What specific energy efficiency solutions have proven most impactful in your operations, and how have you measured the success?
Thank you, Mike. So just for some quick context, we are the odd one out in the mining sector currently. We're hoping that will change, but we do have a very ambitious target to eliminate fossil fuels, and we call that, or our founder, Andrew Forrest, calls that Real Zero. And it's got a very complicated definition. It means stop burning fossil fuels. The more complicated definition is don't use offsets or CCS, or CDR now, which is the next one. So that's the context. And actually, we announced it in 2022. And we talk a lot about the cost savings of this transition. So we do say it's an upfront investment, but by 2030 we're looking forward to recouping all those costs because we won't have to import diesel, which yes, we currently import a huge amount of diesel. We also burn gas. So we talk a lot about those cost savings, but part of when I think I attended your event last year in New York, and then this one again, and I went back to the team and I said, why don't we ever talk about the basic energy efficiency savings from replacing all of our combustion engines with battery electric? And they were like, that's a good point, it's in there, we just don't really dwell on it. So I went to our head of decarb, because I'm not an engineer, and I got him to explain to me what these energy efficiency measures are. So I'm going to draw off his work here. And it's really interesting because to me, it's not just about replacing the technology, it's actually about this like large-scale change in behavior around a system. So the number one is, I think you'll all be across it, simply the fact that diesel systems only convert about 22 to 30% of their primary fuel energy into traction. So that's the obvious one, and then you should jump up to 70 to 80% efficiency when you've got battery electric. So then we move into heavy haul, rail and truck. So we've got hundreds of huge haul trucks the size of buildings. We've got railway lines taking our iron ore to a port that we own part of. So like serious industrial infrastructure. And one of the things we've learned is that we can have regenerative braking through our battery electric trucks can recover around 10 to 15% of the traction energy that would otherwise be lost. And because the Pilbara iron ore area in Australia is actually quite hilly, and that's not across the board. Our mine sites are quite hilly. Not everyone's mine. We have some mine sites that aren't hilly, so that's a bit of a challenge because we can't rely on it, but we do get that kind of recuperative energy saving from those gradients. And then the last one is intelligent energy orchestration. So that was his phrase, not mine, but I quite like it. And I'm going to read out what he wrote because it's quite nicely written. Electrification moves us beyond efficient machines to intelligent systems. Power can be routed, shared, or curtailed dynamically, aligning energy use with renewable generation, grid constraints, and throughput priorities. This decentralized management creates the opportunity for genuine system efficiency, not just efficient hardware. But efficient technology doesn't automatically create efficient processes. So with diesel, this is what I quite like, so diesel lets us be lazy, whereas electric demands that we're smart. So with diesel, we've been conditioned to be designed for convenience, energy on demand, everywhere, all the time. But with electric systems, we have to be aware of what we're doing, we have to coordinate, and we have to have smart scheduling. So for example, we currently mine 24 hours a day. That may shift, or maybe we get to a point with our battery systems and green hydrogen where we can have the same approach. But either way, it's making us think really hard about what we do.
And it obviously requires smart people behind it as well. My second question would be, so what are the barriers and how have you overcome those?
I took the question slightly differently.
Absolutely.
For me, the interesting part is why isn't everyone doing it in the mining sector when it's so obvious? Like these savings are so obvious. Why wouldn't you want to reduce your energy use? Why wouldn't you want to make more money? So I find that really challenging. And in Australia, from an Australian point of view, we have something called the Safeguard Mechanism, which is our national carbon pricing scheme. And it sets a really ambitious emissions reduction target. Every year, all of our mining companies have to reduce our emissions by 5%, except we don't actually, because we can just buy offsets the whole way. There is no limit on how many offsets we can buy, which means that Force is the only company investing huge amounts of money. We've got $6.2 billion budgeted for our Real Zero transition. We're spending the money, and it's hard work, but every other company can just buy offsets for $35 or less a ton. So for me, if you want a barrier to energy efficiency or any change whatsoever in the technology that's being used, that's your barrier.
Thank you for also raising the voice and showing these examples. Over to you, Linda. Avery has 80,000 employees, and you're kind of at the core of influence. So my first question to you is, because you work across different sectors, how do you help clients to replicate successful energy efficiency models across geographies and industries?
Thank you. Very good question. So, of course, there are many types of energy efficiency for different purposes, and we're supporting, as you said, clients throughout. The first one we're working in is exactly electrification. So, because of course an electric engine is so much more efficient than a combustion one. So the first is really around electrification. Then we work a lot with the energy efficiency of industrial processes, both of course the processes as such, but also the control systems and the industrial buildings to support that. So there are a lot of technical solutions around that. What we also work quite extensively at the moment is waste heat recovery, because there's a lot of processes where you can capture and actually generate a second revenue stream from the excess heat. And one of the most sort of evident, I think, is data centers, when you can connect them with district heating systems and so on. The fourth pillar we often talk about is also the energy efficiency within energy production and distribution, to have the to cut the losses, so to say, when you produce or transport electricity over large distance. So it's a lot of technical solutions, a lot of company working with this. I would say what sort of combines them is that it's when you take it beyond sort of the cost efficiency, when you really sort of integrate it into your business model, that is when the difference is made. So we work a lot also on strategic level now with companies to really integrate this into their business models.
Thank you, and then also with a more challenging question. So, how do you change, or what is your observation on the behavioral shift that is required to go from a pilot project to a full-scale cross-portfolio or cross-company? What do you observe from your point?
Yeah, and that's a tricky one, isn't it? To really sort of scale something globally. But here again, I think having it high on the business agenda and really part of the company's strategies. And again, I think the companies that have realized that this is not only sort of a business enabler, it's also a resilience enabler. Because I think that is more and more also how can you use the energy that we have in a more structured way, and how can you produce something in a more optimized way. So I think when you have that in place, and then also hopefully supported by some standardizations and business that drive business across the globe.
Thank you. There will be a session on Wednesday lunchtime at the IEC or Standards Pavilion talking exactly about these topics. Thank you, Linda. Anna, over to you. So obviously Alfa Laval is a Swedish industrial leader in specialized heat transfer separation, connecting to what Linda just has said. How do you see your company also as being deeply engaged in embedded in the industrial ecosystem? How can supply chain and service providers play a stronger role in mainstreaming efficiency as a standard and practice?
Yeah, it was a very good bridge from you, Linda, because I really see that walking the talk ourselves is the number one, and that we show that we have energy efficiency on a strategic level. And we continuously improve our process. For example, by IoT solutions from Schneider Electric, thousands of them every minute in all our major sites, phasing out fossil fuels already by 2027 because electricity is more efficient. And then secondly, we also need to do it easy for others to do the right thing. We have, for example, an initiative called Energy Hunter, where we visualize, makes it easy to see all the savings, how resilient your business becomes, how much money you're saving, how much CO2 you're reducing by rather short payback times. And then thirdly, on the systemic and big level, working closely together with private sector and these like the energy efficiency movement, trying to together advocate, train, make awareness how important and what an enabler of growing your business energy efficiency is really.
Thank you. You almost answered my second question about partnership and structural changes, but let's maybe focus a bit on the structural changes and let's stay a bit on this value chain. So what have you found most effective in accelerating then the deployment and reducing transaction costs for efficiency solutions?
It's really about working together, a private, public sector, but also across value chains and suppliers. I think we have a really good example. We worked with the Swedish supplier of metals, SSAB, to create or develop together the first low emission metal heat exchanger and sold that to European validation source. And that saves energy every day, connecting to the district heating of Lund. And we did it collectively, and we lowered the risk in the supply chain by having worked together with SSAB for a long time. We have very good ESG rating that enables financing, and we work with private to connect in a couple of sectors. And that's one example, and there are more. These are cards of examples of all these things you talk about, Mike. So data centers, so you said, Linda, there's so much potential in connecting and using data centers as a source of heating homes, like we've done in Odense, for example, connecting
different smaller sources of waste heat and then bundle them together, getting the finance in place because of that, and then heating, in this case, 7,000 homes. And there's so many more, and we really need to do something about the data centers. And this is just one example of what energy efficiency can do.
And obviously, as data center is a growth industry or sector by its own. Thank you. Esther, over to you. So, Schneider Electric, a French multinational company specialized in energy management and also industrial automation, but many things more. You play, and we heard it from Shanta, obviously a crucial role in this digital efficiency as well. So, how do you integrate technology with organizational change to drive scalable impact?
So, my neighbor made it very easy for me to answer that question, because first she defined very well what intelligent energy has to be, needs to become, and second, she said the key word. In the area of fossil fuels, we have been very lazy. Lazy in terms of competencies. So the competencies we need to operate those intelligent energy systems, they're not readily available in the market. Second, we need new data sharing protocols within the different actors that operate in an asset. And we need also new ways to source energy. And all of that is challenging not the technology itself, but the way we organize ourselves and the way we operate. So I will give you one precise example to make it clearer. We sell building management systems. These are digital systems to measure and control the energy consumption of a building based on different input sensors like temperature, occupancies, etc. Today, it's very hard to recruit an energy manager for a site who knows how to operate the systems. So you have a competency issue. Second, within a site, you need to coordinate the different functions. The catering, you need to coordinate with the facility manager. You need to coordinate with the occupant. You need to coordinate with the person owning the building. So you need to coordinate many people to take those decisions to consume energy differently. And this goes through legal considerations. There are contracts, right? So you need to evolve the contracts and the incentives embedded in the contract so that all these actors can play a part in optimizing the building energy use. And of course, the data architecture underlying that is key. You need everyone to access that data to make sure that there are shared rules, incentives, and understandings of the performance. And all of that is new because it was just easier before to consume fossil energy that was always available and rather cheap. So it's not just about deploying the technology. The technology is readily available. It's about evolving the organizational structure that goes with the technology, and that's the hard part.
Thank you. And now let's take this question even one level further up. So you were explaining out on a building. So if we go now to a city level, so how do we then actually form and create an ecosystem that unlocks efficiency at scale between corporates and also cities?
So same, I was wiggling on my chair. I don't know if you could tell, because she said it very well. In a world powered by renewable, it's not just about optimizing the assets, it's the asset connecting to the external world. Of course, there's national grid balance, but today a lot of congestion points in the grid are rather local, so that's the city level, right? So you need to optimize the asset itself, but you also need an asset that's able to communicate and to interact in new matters with its environment. And today, assets, they have the right to consume whenever they want, like to this point on us all being very lazy. Tomorrow, this is not possible anymore. So you have to go beyond the boundaries of your assets and to create the right framework to communicate and optimize. So I will give you a concrete example again, same on the building. We've been working in France now for several years with the grid operator, transmission and distributions, on what are the data protocols, open data protocols, standardized data protocols, for the grid to be able to send signals, national level or local signal, physical signal or price signals, so that the building, the assets, can change its consumption patterns depending on the grid. And in practice, this is not hard to do, but this is not something that has been done at all in the past 50 years or so. So it's something we need to invent together, and it's more about organizational change and underlying data structure than the technology itself.
Thanks a lot. So with this, I would like to close this very interesting panel. diverse panel as well from the inputs. Thanks for coming here, for spending your time here, and I'm very happy to hand over to Bertrand for the second session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning to everyone. I have renewables and efficiency in my blood. Since I wanted to fly around the world in a solar-powered airplane, and the aviation industry told me you can never do that, the sun does not give enough energy to power an airplane day and night. Always a question of production, producing more, and if you cannot produce more, you cannot do it. Well, if we did it, it's because we built the most efficient airplane ever. And this allowed us to fly with renewables around the world. So if we want to be able to power the world with renewables, we have, of course, to stop wasting between 2/3 and 3/4 of the energy. This is why I value a lot the collaboration that the Solar Impulse Foundation has with Mike and the Energy Efficiency Movement and Bruce Douglas with the Global Renewable Alliance. I think the type of result that we can obtain is much higher than what happens in a negotiations room. And what I wonder is why we are here in a little booth when other people are trying to get a result that they don't obtain. Because they're not speaking of solutions, they're speaking of problems. And nobody wants to hear the problems. Nobody wants to hear how to decarbonize. People want to hear about how to modernize. And decarbonization will become the logical consequence of decarbonization, of modernization. So we will continue here with the esteemed panelists as if we were on the main stage with all the heads of states listening, because at the end this is the message that we really would like them to hear. So, Zoisa Northbound from Octopus Energy, I don't know if she arrived or not. Yes, okay, because I didn't see you earlier, I was thinking, oh, if we miss you, that's too bad. So Zoisa, Octopus Energy, please. Dana Barsky from Standard Chartered Bank, Mario Giordano from Signify, Joan Cole from Arrow. My first question will be the same for all of you. It comes from a quote that was invented for today by one of my team members in Sixteen Morin. She wrote on my briefing, efficiency is to climate action what common sense is to problem solving. I think it's a perfect quote. Now the question I have for all four of you, in your own businesses, why is it so difficult to get finance for common sense? We have finance for a lot of useless things. We have finance for diesel. We have finance for everything that was described before as being lazy and stupid. Why is common sense, which is profitable and smart, so difficult to finance? We start with the bank. The microphone is coming here.
Is this working? So, I do think your premise is right that it can be difficult to finance in certain circumstances. And the reason is that technological risk, the technology isn't always proven. That's where it's challenging. Sometimes it's not. So for instance, I met a wonderful company. I think this is really relevant to Fortescue back there. But they have found a way in Africa to convert diesel trucks, diesel refuse trucks, trash trucks, into electric. They literally take the guts out and they turn it into electric and they put it out in the community. Very thoughtful, hard work, planning, piloting. We can't finance the pilot because we need to prove it. So once they have the 30 trucks out there, the 40 trucks out there, that's when a bank can come in of our size and finance it. We need that technology risk to be proven. Now, we do finance other, I think also Schneider is talking about
building efficiency. That's something that we do finance. And the way that we encourage that is through financial instruments such as sustainability linked loans, where you can give a benefit to meeting a energy efficiency target. It pays for itself. I mean, I think to your point of it should be easier. And so the more technology like Siemens puts in the buildings, the more the data that we have, the more that we can show meaningful KPIs, we can finance against that and give a cost savings to a real estate development or otherwise.
Sarita?
Yes, interesting question. Why is it hard to finance? I would say, luckily, I work for an organisation where I don't feel it is hard to finance, because it's more about, for us, focusing on what consumers want, but making propositions really visible. So I think words like energy efficiency, things like system flexibility, are all kind of terms that maybe aren't all that well understood. And there needs to be a bit more of an exercise around, I think, truly understanding what we mean by that. When I looked at some of the things that we've done at Octopus to create, I suppose, energy efficiency products which almost start to make this sort of like an asset class, it has been around a relentless focus on productization and consumers. So doing the things using technology but make things super simple. Using rows and rows of data so that we can prove things are going to kind of stack up and become financeable. And then wrapping them up into something that consumers are ultimately going to want to buy into. And one of the examples I can give you would be our zero bills homes proposition, where standing back, we were saying new homes into the future, or even a retrofit into home. What would you do to make this as easy as possible for the consumer? And it would actually be, when you're building a new home, put solar panels on the roof, put a heat pump in the home, have an EV charger potentially. Make sure you have the right energy tariff, which can interact with all of that and do the flows back to the grid and around the home to make sure the consumer gets something back for it. And actually in doing that, we can guarantee if you buy one of those new homes that you won't, as a consumer, see a bill for 10 years. What we've then done is brought together house builders to sign up and start to look at zero bills homes and build those out. But then actually, with house builders, corporations across that sector, we've been able to speak to banks and get lower cost of capital to actually be able to finance homes like that and offer products for the consumer, which is wrapped into a mortgage. When you're not looking for subsidies even, it just makes common sense. So it's almost making those things which seem invisible when you think of energy efficiency very visible, very tangible. And things that consumers ultimately will save money on make sense for them, which means you can build them out at scale, which becomes something that's ultimately financeable.
Thank you very much. John, you are building, constructing a lot of infrastructure. So, of course, efficiency is crucial for you. Can you explain this? How you do it and how you finance it?
I'll just say that fundamentally ours is an engineering project, and the great thing about projects is you take lofty goals into things with deadlines. So how do you get things that are good ideas into actually happening? They need to be scopable, investable, procurable, and deliverable. Those four things. Now to do that for energy efficiency, there's a lot of recruitment costs because there are so many people who need to act. There's a lot of administration costs. So for a bank, getting to know every single customer, and then the customer coming up with a contract to do that efficiency measure, it's a lot of work for a loan that is actually quite small. So the level of effort to set up a project for energy efficiency across millions of people is really difficult. And so the only answer is to remove recruitment costs, remove administration, remove bespoke contracts, and then just productize everything. And so the examples where this works well, I'll give you one. In the state of Victoria where I live, people just show up at small and medium-sized enterprises and households and say, I'm here to do your energy efficiency upgrades. When do you want me to come in? And they come in and they just do it. And every year there's a new upgrade that needs to happen. And they've done all the low-hanging fruit ones, and now they're moving electrical hobs into gas hobs into electric. So it's vacuuming up the energy efficiency. Now that removes the recruitment costs, removes the requirement of contracting, and it removes the administration. And there is the energy savings program in Australia. All the states have one basically, and I think India has one. So when you get to the point where when gravity falls in the direction of an energy efficiency upgrade, that's when we're going to get scale.
Mario, you are replacing 5% efficient old and obsolete and polluting light bulbs by light bulbs that have 95% efficiency. Who is funding that?
So definitely there is not very much as the energy efficiency is question. I think that there is a common misunderstanding. In the last 20 years, we have underestimated the power of the narrative. The energy efficiency has always been presented, and also today has been presented as the low-hanging fruit, probably too low. The lower part is being already replaced, so that was accessible. Now it's not that low, but not because the energy efficiency is not there, simply because the ticket size has been changed. And I give you an experience from the lighting sector. I represent 85 years experience in the lighting. Look at the street lighting. The street lighting was a massive opportunity. And you know why? Because it was a low-hanging fruit. A lot of poles. A pole is a pole in Australia, in Italy, in France, in Brazil. And that was really as easy as replacing a light bulb. And there were a lot of poles, pretty easy because every city has a census of the light pole. So it was really a massive opportunity, and it has been done massively all around the world with the access to financing. I mean, European Investment Bank, you see, you have their branding online notes. It was that easy. And why we have said that the renewables were a big challenge. So we have somehow brought the attention to the renewables and defocused the attention to the energy efficiency, just saying that it was easy. The easiest, the quickest, the most effective way. This is what we say. Now, what I'm saying is that it has been proven to be easy and low and effective, and also it delivers because we have data. Now it's a matter of creating the right ticket size for the financing sector to get access to that. We cannot renovate the buildings, flat by flat, apartment by apartment, consumer by consumer, all the SMEs, one by one. So it takes ages. We need to replace all the light poles, so all the buildings, all the SMEs, and group them in big groups according to characteristics, and we have data for that. So my first thing, and I will come back to that, is we need to provide it seamlessly, we need to be reliable, and we have been proven to be reliable. And second, we need to provide how, through data, we can fuel the financial sector mechanism.
You heard about the project we have together with the EIB and the European Commission. That's my dream. A solution provider can be a startup, but it can be Alfa Laval, it can be Schneider Electric. They arrive to the customer and they say, we install an efficient solution in your facilities. You pay nothing. We install it for free. It's an investment fund who is paying for it. And you will reimburse the fund with the savings that you are doing every minute of the use of the solution. Servitization, efficiency as a service. It's something where you don't own the product, you buy for the result. And I think this is something that you are familiar with at Signify. But now, how do you really make it happen? Because we are launching this fund. Is this fund going to help you? Going to help Arup? Going to help Chartered Bank? Or Chartered Bank can be part of it, an octopus? So I think we are in a very practical dimension that can unlock the potential of efficiency.
Look, I think the trajectory is right, the speed is wrong. So we know how to do things, but we don't know how to scale it up. So this is definitely the way this model that you are presenting is just the right way to increase the speed, having the right solution. And this is also a call to action that you are making for the companies to put ourselves in the game or put ourselves in trouble a little bit. So we already have this in place. It's called Life as a Service, where you as an SME or even a big company, we have also big companies, you want to do some energy efficiency, but you don't have resources, financial resources, or you don't have people, actually, because it takes money to recruit people, and this is a little bit the chicken and the egg, because you would like to save money, but you don't have money. Or the second, you have money, but you are not prioritizing energy efficiency, or whatever reason. There are different reasons. Now, with this business model, which is lighting, but can be applicable to other industries, of course, what you are buying is you are buying the service. So the property, the ownership of the product stays with the manufacturer. And at the end of that life cycle, which can be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, it depends on the installation, you can decide to quit the unit, or you can decide to get it upgraded again. And then it's our responsibility, and this is also where the circular economy steps in, it's our responsibility to upgrade the product, to repair the product, or to remanufacture the product.
We have 4 more minutes to conclude. I would like Dana to tell us if a bank like yours would participate in this type of financing.
So, first of all, I love the idea of a fund that effectively allows repayment through energy efficiency. That's a great idea. I don't know, I would say a bank like us, I don't know what, I don't know what you have envisioned, but just along the lines though of some of the things that you said, especially in lighting, I think it's a similar concept too, which is we finance a lot of municipalities who are looking to upgrade their lighting, street lighting, and it's a mind shift change because when municipalities bid out these lighting projects, as I'm sure you're aware, they're always focused on cost, right? What's the cheapest we can do it? And if you change that equation to also factor in energy efficiency, and you stop looking at year one, but you look at the next 3 years, the next 5 years, and you bid out based on energy efficiency, and you can look at the savings, which is a similar concept. If you look at that savings, that's very, very scalable. And I think the fund really speaks to that, which is let's not look at the moment today, let's look at the savings over time and finance off of that, which is something we would be able to do.
Thank you. Joan, would something like this servitization, efficiency of the service, would be useful for you? Because you have a long chain between the concept, the construction, the user of the building. Could it bring everybody together to have a servitization for efficient buildings?
I think we're moving into a world where asset management needs to become more important than capital investment. So one of the big barriers is the people who are handling CapEx are different to the people handling OpEx. And then you have the split incentive problem. So I think there is a problem. And one of the solutions is actually to tie your repayments to something like a statutory charge, like a council tax or something like that. So once you calculate what the savings should be, take away the calculations afterwards and bake it into the repayments so that banks get seniority for the repayments. So I think it's some way that you can bridge that CapEx OpEx divide.
Zoisa, my last question, I think you will hate me for that question, but everybody is thinking about this type of problem. You are producing energy. You are selling energy. You do it in a wonderful way with Octopus. I love Greg, who is such an incredible person, character. Why do you want to promote efficiency and sell less energy?
I think we really want to actually strive for a world where it's not about selling less energy, but creating it in an abundance, actually. So looking at all of the ways that people can productively use electrons to bring them through the system so we can get even more renewables on there. It so happens that they are great energy efficiency products as well. So things like electric vehicles being able to store energy in batteries of up to 2 days if we need to, and then being able to put those back onto the grid to deal with real intermittency problems. So energy efficiency, I think, is a strange term because I think it's not almost always about cutting down and limiting. I think it also can be doing all of the things that help create a renewable system so that we get abundance, actually.
Exactly, you join Schneider Electric in the question of electrifying our world. So, thank you very much, and before we stop, Christina from the European Commission spoke about the guide for energy efficiency that we have done together. It's here. We launch it here. It's called the Silent Moneymaker, and we write efficiency euro sign instead of the E to show that it's really profitable. It's not just a question of making the world cleaner, it's about making our world more profitable and competitive. So you will find inside not a lot of philosophy, but a lot of very practical business cases. Some of them have been explained here, others you will find, and I think it's important to be able to have proofs of what we say, and this is really a proof of it. So, thank you very much to all of you. Thank you for participating. I think we have to be the messengers of this type of spirit, not only renewables, but of course renewables and efficiency, because it's logical as much as ecological. Thank you very much. And now the picture of the group. I think Mike forgot to take a picture of his group, so we'll make it later.